Let's talk about some techniques that are specific to you as a player that you do so well. Talk a little bit about your hand usage, and maybe you can give an example for our viewers, some of the different hand effects you might use from opening different positions. I mean, just entertain us a little bit with your hand usage.
Well, fortunately I have big hands, and so I can get my hand, I don't, most people I think hold the harp this way.
Why don't you show it to that camera so we can see
Okay,
it?
most folks hold the harp this way, but I tend to hold it this way. I tuck it right into the fat part of my palm here on the left, and bring these fingers around and kind of grip it this way. Then bring this hand in. So in effect what I'm doing is putting my hands the same way you would put them if you scooped up some water from the lake and you wanted to drink it. You're just making a big cup. And by putting the harp right in that cup, I'll oftentimes take my right thumb and actually cover up holes 8 and 9 if I'm not going to use them.
To stop that leakage.
And yeah, and then what you've got is as you can see, there's very little that's not covered by my hands. And that little triangle that is not covered by my hands is going to get covered by my face. So you can completely cup the harp if your hands are big enough. Totally cup it. So nothing's coming out anywhere. And then once you learn to do that, then you have all these options open to you in how you open that cup. And I think I saw you first illustrate this a long time ago. Is that if you're cupping your harp and all you do is move your right thumb, nothing else, just your right thumb. You get a great tonal difference, as you can hear, just by moving one thumb. So imagine how much you can do if you move your whole hand. Or and by using the opening and closing in conjunction with bending notes, and then by taking your hands and sort of slapping back onto your hands, you get and making this sort of wah wah and fluttering your fingers around. Now some of that is the tongue fluttering off the face of the harp, but a little bit of that is actually in the hands, and if you're sort of fingering your other hand, if you will, it makes a percussive sound that gets picked up by the microphone, if you can hear. So and in a lot of cases, if you're playing along with a non-blues act, like it's a balladeer or a folk musician, I find that you can get a really sweet tone, but just by cupping completely all the time when you're playing. And then using your tremolo in your throat rather than using your hands. So it helps to have big hands, but it's not essential. There's ways that you can do really well by holding the harp this way, and ways that you can come around the harp this way. But it does help to have big hands, so I'm kind of glad I got them.
How convenient.
Yeah, but when you see like Big Walter, I've seen a lot of videos on Big Walter and saw him live many times. His hands were enormous, just enormous. I mean, he could get in. Well, how about Wolf too? Mm-hmm. I mean, God, when you watch Wolf, he just dwarfs the harp. His hands are so big, it looks like he's playing one of those piccolo harps.
Mm-hmm. Mm. The Growl.
Mm.
Can you give us an example of that? Growl.
Happens on inhaled notes. This is hole 4, and you take hole 4 and bend it, and then sort of snore. And so it happens at the deepest part of the draw, basically, and it happens on the inhaled notes. And you're just basically snoring, and it starts to happen on its own. If you just take it to its deepest part of the band and then pinch even harder, you'll find that it starts flapping, and it does it pretty much by itself.
Yeah, so the back of your tongue is coming up to that soft palate area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you play some phrases where you might throw it in there just so we can hear that?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you're playing around... it's like anything else. If you overuse it, it becomes obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
But if you toss it in there once or twice, it's the same. You hear it a lot with trumpet players, for example. They'll throw a growl in there, and sax players too.
Uh-huh.
But you want to be careful not to overuse it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just another cheap trick.
That sounds quite nice when used. Yeah, good.